Hi, welcome to Module 2, IDS-410 Problem Solvers. It is Sunday, July 5th, 2026, and it's about 10:15 a.m. out here in beautiful Tempe, where I guess temperature I can't complain about because many parts of the country are getting the same treatment with less humidity here. Anyways, how y'all doing? I decided to start this video for the third time, maybe get it right. I want to maybe get faster. I noticed I was at like 13 minutes before and I hadn't even gotten into a lot of stuff. So anyways, all right, when you send me an email, please put your class in the subject, your section. It's either 670 or 704. Okay, those are the last three digits in your section. I've got two sections now, 58 students. I appreciate the help if you can give me that, all right? Remember, you can set up a call for anything, let me know. I'm gonna get that out of the way right now, set up a call. I greatly appreciate your intros. What a great job. I cannot believe, and this is something I've harped on in past so many times. Please put paragraphs and discussion boards. That usually means a blank line space, and you guys did it. I'm just, wow. Thank you. It makes it so much easier for reading comprehension, all right? So thank you for that. I'm impressed by the details, your life experiences, the diversity from coast to coast, north to south. It's been fantastic, all right? I want you to make sure that you follow late policy. I'm gonna attach it to the announcement. 99% of you did. Main posts must be in before midnight on Thursday, and replies must be in before midnight on Sunday. It's a participatory exercise, so it's not like a paper you can turn in late and get like 10% off or something. All right, you get no credit, and it's frustrating, but it's participation with your peers. Please adhere to that or communicate with me, okay? Put this on the streets in Medellin. Maybe it's sound wrong, Colombia. Anyways, welcome to day 3, by the way, of the next round of World Cup, if you celebrate. Okay, so let's talk about what we're doing here. If you saw my Meet Your Instructor announcement, which I encourage you to do, you notice I put this in there, a green sign. I'm gonna tell you what it says. It says somebody should do something about all the problems, all right? Isn't that what we do though? Because we don't have time, we're trying to solve our lives and the lives of our loved ones, and we tend to, the metaphor, stay on the couch and point and say, you should do this, you should do that. Why did he do this? Why didn't he do that? You do that with sports teams a lot if you're a sports fan of any kind. Why didn't you take that shot? Why didn't you pass the ball? Why did you fumble? All these things. I know what to solve it. The coach should have did this, should have did that. We do this all the time. So the difference in this course, and you've seen that when I said in most everyone's feedback, I have a standard template that I tailor to everybody usually. And it does say that the title of this class is not problem investigation, problem research, problem look into. It's problem solving. So I emphasize the second word, solving. We have to take it that next step. It's not about self-enlightenment. I got a bookshelf of self-enlightenment over here, so I'm not against self-enlightenment. But this is not about self-enlightenment. This is not about thinking exercise. It's not about, it is to a point, but we got to take it further. It's not about me sending you a box of Lincoln Logs or Legos saying, build me a house. Then you got credit for building a house. Okay, no, that's make-believe at this point. And you're in a 400 level university course. There's nowhere to go from here except grad school, 500 level. So you worked your way up throughout your academic careers. 400 level courses are going to have higher academic rigor and such. So I'm always welcoming to connect with me if you want to run something by me, what have you. I am more hands-on than instructors you may have experienced in Southern New Hampshire in the past. I have had people submit assignments. One submitted a wedding invitation, one submitted a blank Word doc. Both of them were titled the assignment's name. That indicates to me that they've had experiences where the instructor never even bothered looking at the work, right? Ooh, I don't like that. I look at it. The reason I know they did it on purpose, not only because it was saved as that, but I sent immediate emails out to these students, 2 different classes, and warned them, feedbacks, like, get with me, come on, fix this. Never heard back from them, okay? So you tried, you failed that one, all right? You do the work, you'll do fine this course, all right? Okay, so let me give you an example though, because we're taking those problems, those big problems, to think globally, act locally, okay? We want to think of something that gets us off the couch and into the game, okay? I volunteered in the recently resettled refugee community, as I've mentioned in the past, and it's in my immediate instruction. So I think I got off my butt and I drove to the west side of Phoenix 3 days a week. Plus I worked in the classroom at Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest. Why is everything such a mouthful? And I did all this volunteer work in an effort to contribute problem solving for social change, okay? The refugees I met were from almost every continent except for Antarctica and maybe Australia, but everywhere. And I remember teaching a class one time, I had 7 different family groups with 7 different interpreters, okay? 7 different languages. It was fascinating and rewarding to do that, all right? But I was helping them to adapt to Phoenix, all right? Phoenix is different than Minneapolis. Phoenix is different than Kansas City. Phoenix, how do you adapt? How do you get a job? How are your job skills? How this and that? Okay, so I'm just saying that it was very rewarding to get off the couch and do it. Yes, time is a factor, of course. I was a single parent. I was working, albeit online. I was going to school. But I found a way to fit something in that got me into the game, okay, where I couldn't sit back and go, oh, these people aren't assimilating, these people, I went and I talked to them. And frankly, I developed my own sense of what it means. It doesn't mean assimilate. We don't assimilate. Nobody in this class, I looked at 50 plus introductions. Nobody was the same. You didn't assimilate the same. You adapt. We adapt with what we have, what we bring to the game, we adapt. And then we work together. And that's, I'm sorry, the beauty and the differences. I love it. And that's why I look at it. So I don't look at, the U.S., United States of America, as a melting pot. I look at it as a stew or a fruit salad, okay? It's got all these ingredients that work together so well. They don't get blended and then the disappearing individuality of it, right? That's just the take, and it's not political, it's just idealistic into the way I see things and then the problems that come with that and how we change things, right? Okay, so an example though of bringing your problem down would be a lot of people, many of my classes talk about access to healthcare. Okay, we're going to define and clarify our problem that we're going to choose. So first in that one, what does access mean? Does access mean I don't have a doctor anywhere within 50 miles? Does access mean I can't get there with transportation? Does access just mean, the resources, the money, the availability of it that I could even consider because I couldn't afford it? What does access mean? And then what is healthcare? Define that. We're talking about mental health, physical health, women's health, men's health. We're talking about, children's health. What are we talking about? Preventive health? There's so many, I can go through them all, right? You need to bring it down. And that's why I say typically to pick a locality, pick a demographic, and be carefully formulate your problem, because you're not going to solve sustainability. You're not going to solve wars. You're not going to, solve homelessness. But we can start small, because small successes can be scaled up with, because again, I'll say it. What works in Manhattan, New York City does not work in Cody, Wyoming. All right. Anyways, okay, I'm going to post the late policy. Did I say that? I've done this video so many times. Post a late policy for discussion boards. All right. Module 2, you're going to be doing, I'm 3 minutes faster right now. So Module 2, you're going to look at different things about exploring human perception, value systems, beliefs, assumptions, and values, implicit and explicit bias, 2 different kinds of bias, implicit, explicit. Read about that. And are we talking about the same things? As an interdisciplinarian, that's the one thing we talk about, is are we talking about the same things? Because disciplines, different subjects, they can use different languages, right? Okay, I want you to picture in your head right now a bridge. Picture a bridge. Wow. Is it a span, a roadway going over some body of water or something? Yes, that's a bridge. But no, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about dentistry. Dentistry, a bridge. Like, oh crap, that's like when they put in like a false tooth with a couple of other teeth attached to it or something like that. That's it. No, that's it. I was talking about music. A bridge in music that connects one section of the song to the other. A bridge, I don't know what it is. I don't know music. But so you can see, are we talking about the same thing? And that's a big extreme example in interdisciplinary studies about communicating. Are we talking about the same thing? So it's an excellent section to read about, all right? Generative AI and bias. Oh God, don't get me started. Okay. He's an old boomer, he hates AI. Okay, researching to overcome your bias. Okay. Getting started with social change. All right, now I want you to think about my feedback. Think about what you can do. Run it by me if you want to before you turn in your proposal. There's also some resources, readings, and video. The video with Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, I've got 2 of her books. Phenomenal writer out of Nigeria. And she talks about telling a story, which means like oral history, explaining something. I made a movie of an oral history of a friend I had. He lives in Hawaii now, and it's on my website there. But it's an oral history, and each one of us has an oral history. And that means that we can tell our story, and it has value from the way we've seen it and experienced it. Okay? Now, I hung around with the same guys all my life, since elementary school to now. It's like, but we're in the late 60s and go back to high school, and these stories get blended, so we tell the same story 4 different ways. Anyways, but so think about, like I said, who writes the history books? And that's the victors, right? The victors write the history book. So now we're seeing more oral histories and stories from, let's say, Native American, indigenous peoples, immigrants. We're seeing that around the world, different, because we've got so much access to the resources, to the digital online books, we got the social media and things. People are able to tell their story at an equal level with some of the victors' stories, right? So we're learning about history. How many people learned something new about 4th of July yesterday? I learned something new that was written by Thomas Paine, one of the founding fathers, I guess you'd call him. That was really important that I learned that. Okay, so going through all these things, your project proposal, when you write any paper in this class, or any discussion board for that matter, you're going to see the rubric. You guys know what the rubric is. It's going to have separate categories of things that earn points. If you want the cheat code right here, you will make sure that you either sectionalize it with what it's about, like project proposal, social issue, and then you write it. History, you write it. Perceptions, you write it. Impact on specific communities, impact on society, connection between the social, and then you have a resource list. If you follow those things, I can see that I know that you followed it, boom. If you give me one long paper with, even just indented paragraphs, I got to decide where one section stops and the next one starts. We're writing academically here, okay? We're not like writing essays as much as we're writing academically. When we write academically, you typically break it up into specific criteria and sections. And here, because we have different prompts for discussion boards as well as for papers, utilize those, okay? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If the discussion board has things like it says, and then there's a reflection, no discussion this week, a reflection paper, value systems, boom, role of individuals or groups, boom, benefit, boom, technology, boom. You write underneath your subsections, and it is chef's kiss for me, okay? And it's easy to get full points when you do that from me, all right? I'm not picky about things. I just like a nice organized paper. Remember, if you use generation AI tools to support your work on the assignment, be sure to follow the AI usage guidelines from SNHU. It's linked to the rubrics. You must acknowledge your use of these tools in your work. Guidelines on how to cite AI tools can be found in the Shapiro Library Guide. Just be careful because, first of all, we can't trust AI. We see it all the time that there's a lot of so-called peer-reviewed sources they use that just make up out of whole cloth, which is weird. And then there's also the fact that if you don't quote, literal, and cite the quotations in your papers, I'm going to see that. It's not a good look, okay? Because you're essentially claiming that as your words, right? So, but I'm so impressed by that first discussion board that I have high hopes for you guys. Okay, that's it. Please get a hold of me. Please make sure you're doing a proposal for a project, even though you don't have to do the project, but you want to design the project that will develop social change to solving problems. And I use mitigation with solving because not a lot of problems are getting solved as much as mitigated until we can get rid of them, right? So please, I wish you a lot of luck. Complaint department, I'm sorry we're not open this week. Just send me emails if you have any questions. 16 minutes, bye. It's not working. Look at that.